Welcome to Tuesday, February 15th, 2022. Welcome to the Day Weather Podcast, brought to you by Chugwater Chili, the gourmet spice of Western life. Check out Chugwater Green Chili Seasoning. It's quick and it's easy. It's a great way to also season dishes, as well as just making a big pot of green chili. Use code CHUGWATERDON at checkout for 20% off at chugwaterchili.com. Might want to make up a pot today, even though it's going to be another mild day, because we've got some colder weather coming and some snow coming as well. A Pacific cold front that's got some Canadian air with it is going to be moving in. We're already seeing some areas of snow move into parts of Idaho, parts of the Pacific Northwest, up into the western and northwest areas of Wyoming. And we're going to see this spread south and east into the rest of the mountains and plains later today and tonight, and especially tomorrow. Now, this is going to be a light to moderate event. This is not by any means going to be a big storm system, but it's going to be more impactful in terms of a weather system we've seen in a while for the Intermountain West and parts of the western high plains. There's a break in the weather Thursday through Sunday. It's going to be chilly Thursday, moderating temperatures Friday through Sunday. So I think we're going to have a pretty decent weekend again, but another system not that much different to what we're going to experience here over the next couple of days is going to come in late Sunday through Tuesday, although that system might have a bit more in the way of Canadian air with it. So we're getting into a more busy weather pattern for sure over the next couple of weeks. Here's today's upper level chart. This is by noon today. Upper level low over central California. Also an area of cold air, basically a cold front coming in, and these both are going to come through at the same time. So these systems, this low pressure system and this cold front, are going to be working in unison over the next 48 hours. And the end result is that by tomorrow afternoon, we sort of have a merger of the cold front coming through, low pressure going across southern New Mexico. It's not what we call a closed low or a system that's going to give prolonged upslope. It's going to move out fairly quickly and produce another swath of winter weather across the nation's midsection with snow and much colder weather here in the northern Rockies and the central high plains. With the high pressure anchored right here, this sets up for the jet stream to come down the Canadian coast, then into the northern Rockies before taking a trip back up to the east. This will bring precipitation looking like this. Now, this is the water equivalent forecast. If it were to fall as rain, this is what the modeling is seeing. As we mentioned yesterday, there's nothing real heavy here, although I think we're going to see a really nice snow in the Bighorns, a nice snow in the Wind Rivers, parts of the Absarokas and the Beartooth Plateau, as well as the mountains of northwest Montana into parts of the Idaho mountains, lighter amounts into the Sierra Nevada. But notice we're getting into the desert southwest with some of this precipitation, even a little bit of snow in parts of Utah that haven't seen it for a while. The ski areas of Wyoming and Colorado going to get a decent little shot of snow. And this is what the snow water equivalent looks like if we were to convert that moisture to the predicted snowfall. So you can see there's lots of pinks and purples, mainly centered over the higher terrain. A bit more out here into parts of Kansas and Oklahoma. And you can see why. Look at this heavier moisture that's going to be breaking out along this front. There's going to be a lot of rain, and on the northern edge, ice and snow with this system. It is looking really wet for this part of the country here over the next couple of weeks as these systems come down, pick up some Gulf of Mexico moisture, and come this way. And this is what the snowfall forecast looks like. So from parts of the Oklahoma and Texas panhandle through Kansas City, St. Louis, through central Illinois, through Detroit, into Toronto, then up into the northern parts of Maine here, you can see this is going to be a pretty significant snow event. And look at the ice. This is another potential ice event for parts of the Midwest as it moves through parts of the Eastern Corn Belt and the Ohio Valley area. So if you're going to be traveling anywhere in this part of the world here over the next couple of days, there's going to be some problems. By Sunday, this is by Sunday, notice where the high is, it's still in the same spot. So here we go again. Another trough digs in from the west. This opens the door from Canada. So we're going to see some colder air come on in. There's going to be some Pacific moisture again. And there we go. This is by Tuesday noon. Another area of low pressure with a lot of cold air coming in behind it, bringing another chance of snow and wintry weather into the northern and central Rockies. For livestock interests, anybody who has begun calving operations, you're going to need to stay on your toes because about every 3 or 4 days, it looks like we're going to have these frontal systems. And you may see the next one right behind it. There it is. So we're going to have this system come in Sunday night, Monday, and Tuesday. This one will probably come in behind it about 3 days later, and the results are going to be similar. Now look at these temperatures. Not saying this will happen, but this is by next Wednesday, the 24th into the 25th here, Wednesday and Thursday of next week. Look at that purple. That is some really cold air. So despite the recent spell of some mild temperatures and almost spring-like conditions, there's plenty of cold air left in the northern latitudes to bring us more episodes of cold before this month is over in early March as well. So this is why livestock interests and travelers, you're going to need to pay closer attention to the weather now that things are more busy. This is by next weekend. This is by next Friday and Saturday. That next wave comes in, and the end result, you can see the pattern is just basically the same. A trough in the west, high pressure in the east, high pressure off the west coast. This is going to concentrate the most active weather right here over the next week to 10 days. Now, I wanted to give you just a brief discussion on sea surface temperature anomalies because we're getting into this time of year here when we're going to start putting together a long-range forecast for spring and early summer. And what I want to do here is show you sea surface temperature anomalies as of the most recent snapshot, which is from this past weekend here. And there's a couple of years where I think the sea surface temperature patterns and conditions are somewhat similar to this year, going back in the last 10 years or so. So notice, as we showed you yesterday, the coldest sea surface temperature anomaly is off the coast of South America, weaker anomalies here on the western edge, and we have this cold pool here along the Gulf of Alaska and northwest coast areas of Canada. Now what we want to do as we get on into this February, March, April, May timeframe, basically late winter to spring, is look at other years that are somewhat similar. Remember, you're never going to see things exactly the same. The weather doesn't exactly repeat itself, it rhymes. So let's take a look what we would call as an analog, and I'm going to take a look at where we were in February 2011. In February 2011, it was definitely a La Nina. It was more further west here, and we also had this pocket of cold water here. And this is what led to the really bad drought conditions in 2012. But up here, notice the Gulf of Alaska is cold. So similarities, not exactly the same, but some cold air and water up in the Gulf of Alaska. La Nina continuing in the subtropics. This is in 2011. Now, one thing about 2011 ended up being a very big snowpack year, especially from March through May in the northern Rockies and the Pacific Northwest. Now let's look at another year, and this is in February 2014. Again, somewhat similar. We're in a La Nina situation, but the colder sea surface temperatures are smaller. But if you really were to compare now, 2014 analog is probably closer than 2011. Couple of things. I just told you that 2011, the late season snowpack was very good. The late season snowpack in February, March, April, May 2014 was also very good. So that, from an analog standpoint, brings some cautiously optimistic conditions for later this month, March, April, and May, in terms of seeing those snowpack conditions getting better again. Have yourself a good Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow.